Let me see here.
Yes.
Hey everyone, we are here. So happy to be here with you. As you might have already known, if you're on my list, if you are in my platforms, today we are talking about the power of forgiveness. And I have a wonderful guest for you. For those that don't know me, my name is Melissa Hughes. I'm the founder of Live Rich, Spread Wealth, where I serve the giants of the world in being able to accept all the goodness that makes us up as giants, our gifts, our talents, our education, our experiences, and our quirkiness. And we able to support humanity in a positive way and get out of our ways to experience the abundance that provides. So today I'm so excited to bring you Tonya Brewington, an amazing person. And I just want to just give you a little intro into the kind of person she is, what she's been doing, and then we're going to get into the power of forgiveness. This conversation is going to be so juicy. I cannot wait for you to hear more. Yes, Tonya Brewington, I want to welcome you today. It is an honor having you in this spot, in this place. Let me see here. Okay, here we are. So, Tonya, I just want to say thank you. And when I was thinking about forgiveness and the importance of it, we've all been through some things. And you just came to my mind because you are the queen that supports people in navigating the obstacles in life that they face when it's like someone done some bad stuff to them or life can go wrong. And that the power of forgiveness is so freeing. And today I just wanted to have the conversation with you. And I just want you to share. I know your story, but everybody here doesn't know your story. And I saw those pictures in your video, and I saw this little baby and things of that nature. And so share with us a little bit about your journey when it comes to things that happen in your life and why you are now like this queen that's so such an advocate for the power of forgiveness.
Yeah. Thanks, Melissa. First of all, let me say thank you for letting me join and be a part of your community in video, in live.
Yes.
So thanks for that. And I do want to talk about the power of forgiveness because for me, it has been the most transformative thing that has happened in my life. And, my forgiveness journey really began in August 27th, 2013, when my daughter was born. And less than 24 hours later, she was deceased. And so for me, there was such grief and such, I was devastated by the fact that I had this child and she was beautiful, but then she was gone. I mean, it's like in the same breath, you had her, you lost her. And for me,
yeah, but wait a minute, pause. That wasn't the same breath. You carried her for what I found out is not 9 months, it's 10 months. So you carried her.
I carried her.
Yeah.
Actually, we got through 8 months. The doctor we would get through full term, but we got through 8 months. And she came early. She was a preemie, but also she was strong and she was a fighter because the fact that she was alive was a miracle. And the fact that the doctors kept saying, we don't know what to think, but her heart is beating so strongly, it was one of the things that they really were clear about. But she was just beautiful. She was a beautiful child. She really changed my life just by the fact that she was alive, by the fact that she was here. And when I lost her, as a way to kind of deal with the grief, with the pain that I was dealing with, to deal with the disappointment of my support system that didn't quite support me the way that I anticipated they might. Um, I had to find a way to adjust and to get through what I was feeling, all of the emotions. I was grieving, but I was also angry and hurt. And it was those things that really pushed me or propelled me on that path to look for something that was going to solve this particular issue. I know that one of the things that happened is, as time passed from her transition, I found myself angry and feeling like I had a knot inside of me that was just a hard knot of anger. And I knew that that's what it was. So I was grieving, but I was also angry. And within a period of about 2 weeks, I heard these messages that talked about forgiveness. And the first time I heard it, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's cute. Because I've heard about forgiveness before. If you've gone to church, you typically hear about forgiveness. Forgive others because so that God can forgive you. And that's the way it's really presented. The second time I heard the message, which was about 3 days later, I was kind of like, that's interesting because I just heard about this. But the third time I heard it, I said, okay, God, I get it. You really want me to pay attention to this. And that started me on my journey towards forgiveness. And so what I did was I did the research, but I also found a way to practice forgiveness, actively practice forgiveness, not just saying the words, but to do some action that would allow all of the anger, all of the hurting, all of the bitterness and the raging that I had to go away, to just be released from my body so that I didn't have to carry it anymore. And I was no longer triggered by the things that had triggered me before.
Well, Tonya, this is really interesting because, sometimes I feel like, and I want you to just share with us, like, do we always know when we have someone to forgive? I mean, sometimes these experiences can be either so traumatic, they can cut so deep that the only way that we survive is to just go along life, and we cover it up in layers. And I just see this sometimes like the most high performing giants sometimes. We just roll with the punches, we keep it moving. And we start, to your point, triggers. Stuff can happen and it can set us off. And we are loving souls, of course, but sometimes other things can create this, trigger, like you say. So how do we even know? What does it look like for us to be able to evaluate? Have we done our forgiveness walk? Like, what does that look like? How do we know if we might have some things we need to clean up?
Well, one thing that I experienced and I found is that unless you are resolving the issue, you find yourself repeating the same type of situation over and over and over again. And so it may not be, so you can deal with people, the same kind of person, and you're like, why does it feel like I'm in this relationship again? Or it's like a different person, but it's the same experience, a similar experience. You might be someone, and it could be an organization, it could be work. You find yourself in the same types of work experiences where you have the same frustrations all the time, or the same issues with your managers, with your coworkers, and it's consistent. And it's like no matter where I go, this is an issue that shows up for me. Because the truth is, we take ourselves everywhere we go. And so if the issue is consistent, typically we need to look at what we're doing or how we're showing up that actually triggers those situations. The other thing I find is that when people are in a position where they snap at an instant, something happens and you're going off. You're so easily triggered and you don't know why. And sometimes it may seem as if it's justifiable. But for people to really go off on other people quickly like that, like from 0 to 100 in like 2 seconds, there's something else going on. There's something deeper. There's some deeper issues that are causing that. The other thing you're going to find is that you're struggling with your money consistently. And the reason for that is because with unforgiveness, you have energy blocks. And if you think of money as an energy exchange, then you're blocking your flow of that particular exchange. And another thing is you have people who have health conditions. Those are things that you just have to go beyond surface and look at what's actually the underlying cause. And then look at those relationships you have with people. Are you avoiding people? Do you know that if you're in the middle of a relationship with someone, there's always something going on. There's always this little backbiting thing that's happening. Then you need to just examine what it really means and how it's reflected. And then let me tell you something else that people don't typically think about. When you go into your house, and I used to say this all the time, but I didn't really understand the significance of it until I started really studying this forgiveness. If you go in your house and you have spaces that are you cannot figure out how to get those things organized. So it's like you have a junky room, you have a junky, you go into your house and it's just disorganized, period. There's so much going on here in your mind that you need to work your way through some of the issues that you may have.
Okay.
And so some of the things that happen that may seem external. The truth is, if you have other kinds of conditions or you dealt with other experiences, like you have issues with your mother, you and your mother have a contentious relationship now, there's some unforgiveness there that you need to address, not for her sake, but for your sake, so that you can release it and keep going. If you've had the experience of having some kind of sexual assault or some kind of sexual trauma, then unless you dealt with it, and I mean really have gotten to the heart of it, you probably have some unforgiveness issues that are going on. And there are other things that may happen in your life. You may be dealing with a loss of a job because someone fired you and you feel it's unjustified. You may have divorce. You might have gone through a divorce. And unless you've worked your way through that.
Well, good Lord, you done mentioned like every life different. Like you done mentioned like every transition. That's
exactly.
Like either trauma or transition, there could be an opportunity to be, like you said, in this unforgiveness mode. And what I'm hearing you say is that it backfires, because you said that, you're to step into forgiveness, not to benefit the person that's offended you or harmed you, but to really gain your power back.
Right. It allows you to reclaim your power, because what happens is when you've been wounded, if you have experienced some trauma, drama, or some kind of tragedy, typically you're in a space where you are shrinking. You might be stuck as well. And like you said, we're super powerful. For those of us who consider ourselves, we may not consider ourselves giants, but for those of us who are high achievers, if you want to accept that word, then we know how to just keep going, regardless of what happened in our lives, because our determination is we're going to make it no matter what. But these things that you haven't forgiven are the blocks that hold you back. They slow you down. It doesn't mean you can't get there, but you may not achieve your heart's desire because you really are blocked. And it's like having rocks in your pocket. Every time you have something, some kind of wound, trauma, tragedy that you haven't addressed, it's like you're putting rocks in your pocket every single time. And unless you find a way to take them out, you're going to hold yourself back.
Wow. So I know that you've been doing this a lot with your clients, and they're all professionals and doing things in their life. So what makes someone want to really look at this and to get their power back? Like, where would someone be in their life to be like, enough is enough?
When you're in a position where you've been working hard, you keep doing a lot of things, but you still, for some reason, seem to be unable to break the barrier and accomplish what you want to accomplish, then you need to look at what else is going on, because sometimes it's something beneath the surface that you're not aware of. Or not so much you're not aware of, but you're not conscious enough of it that you automatically allow yourself to address it. And so these are the unconscious things, the things that are really below the surface that may lend themselves for you to actually be blocked in what you say you want to have happen in your life. You're not getting to your heart's desire, and you really are just confused about why. So
are you saying that, like, there might be some frustration, discord, block, but you don't know why it's happening? So how would they like say, okay, it must be this forgiveness thing, because you mentioned energetically, you mentioned it impacts your revenues, you mentioned it impacts your life, your relationships, family relationships, regular relationships outside of family. So how does someone say, oh, if how do they identify to know what to do about it?
Well, when you think about how you show up in the world and how you want to show up, and one thing you identify is how people respond to you. And so if you're not getting the responses that you're expecting or the responses that you really, really desire, then it again it's something that you need to pay attention to. And so it's one of the things that when I realize I have issues or I'm triggered, and let me explain to you what I mean by being triggered. There are times when I have experiences, or we've all had experiences that have nothing to do with the original wound or the original issue. But there's something that happens in our life that looks similar to what we've experienced before. And we're responding to that as if we're dealing with the first issue, right? And so in that situation, what's happening is it's like you are bringing back to your recall all the things that happened, all the memories about what happened, even though it has nothing to do with your current situation.
So a specific example then I guess is like, so let's just say if someone was, and I'm going to use this example, but I'm understanding what you're saying. It doesn't even have to be dramatic. It just has to be something where you feel like you've been wronged or unjustly treated, or impacted in a negative way. You said trauma, tragedy, and drama. And drama. Okay. Okay. So let's just say bad relationship, and definitely someone had a bad relationship with someone, maybe some abuse, some negative chatter, whatever. And then, okay, that relationship dragged on too long, but it's over now. And that person the bad thing that they experienced in that relationship was that they would raise their voice and be very abusive when they were mad, right? And so now they're done with that relationship, but now they're rolling into another relationship. And so that person, as soon as they raise their voice and it sounds like the person of the past,
you're out. You are out.
Or the way that you react to them is like over the top.
It's completely over the top because you're thinking you're dealing with the same situation. And the truth is you may not be.
Yes. Okay.
And so sometimes you really have to evaluate the situation for what it is currently and see if you're being triggered by something else that happened in your past. Because go ahead.
You also mentioned the mommy pain, right? So, like when you're talking about forgiveness and all that, like, so if you have a mom and she might be overbearing, she wants the best for all of us. I get that. So I'll put that out there. But moms are moms, and so wanting the best for their children, but has a really jacked up way of doing it because they're human too. So they might be negative talking to their child. They might be saying things that are not edifying as a human being, but that's just what they feel like their level of discipline is. So that when this child now goes into the world and is around others and people start talking that kind of way, it could trigger, even though it's not their mom, the mom that said you never amount to anything, you know what I mean? But when they hear this again, then it totally triggers a whole domino effect. It wasn't the mom that said it, but it's someone that reminded them of what was happening when they were growing up.
Exactly. And the thing is, I love the fact that you are assuming that moms are being kind and gentle, and they're doing this out of the goodness of their heart. That's why they're saying because they want the best for you. Because some moms are doing that genuinely, but then there are some other moms who are not, and they may be mean spirited, they may be verbally abusive, they may be physically abusive, they may be competitive with you. And they, so there are things that you might be dealing with. And the other thing, let me add some other things. They may be someone who didn't protect you from any harm that happened in your environment. And so while, yes, there are some moms who are saying things and doing things because in their mind, that's how they're going to get you to do what you're supposed to do. There are other moms who are not quite that well-intentioned in what they're doing.
Okay.
And the moms who are doing some other love, we're friends, we're besties. And, there are no boundaries between mom and daughter or mom and child.
Yes. So I think we talked about and addressed all the different ways. There seems to be like a whole lot that we're leaving off the table, but it really just emphasizes that part of this human experience, it's very much an opportunity in life dealings that we will come up against something that we feel hurt by, wronged, trauma, drama, or what was the other thing? Trauma, drama, What?
Trauma and tragedy.
Yeah, trauma, drama, tragedy. So I think that human experience, trauma, drama, and tragedy, they kind of go, that opportunity is always, as long as you're on this planet, there's an opportunity for you to have this experience. And so what I'm hearing from you, and this is why I love bringing you on about this, is because these experiences are part of being human. And a lot of these things we cannot control. But yet, how do we deal with it? That's the biggest thing. And you're saying that when we choose to be in this unforgiveness mode, even if it's rightfully so, it does us more harm than it does us good. And it has nothing to do with the person that has, or the situation that has placed us in that kind of mode.
Exactly. Because the thing about recalling some issues that happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20, 30 years ago, is every time you retell the story, it's as if it just happened to you. Your body responds as if it's just happening today, even though it might have happened 20 years ago. The other thing that happens is you lose time. If you are someone who's had an experience that has harmed you and you're constantly in the retelling mode of that story without doing anything about it, you're losing time. Because, for instance, I have a client who ex-husband, she had some issues with her ex-husband 21 years ago. Today, she still talks about it as if it just happened last year. Wow. And so in the process, her daughter's graduated from college, but she still talks about this situation with her ex-husband as if it's a current thing. She's still hurting, but she's missed that 21 plus years where she could have been doing other things and still flying, because she's a high achiever. She's accomplished a lot, but this is one place where she's just stuck. And in the process, it's like, about it. When you choose not to forgive someone, I use the word, when they move, you move. You know, it's like that song, just like that. You move just like that. Right. When you are holding on to someone, it's like you have your hands around their neck. Everything they do, you're holding on to them, and you're keeping them closer to you than you would if you release them and let them go through forgiveness.
Okay. Well, I think you built the case, honey. We got to take this forgiveness. This unforgiveness is not suitable for us. It is not something that will support us in the things that we're looking to accomplish. Especially if you're up to big things in the world, you have got to let it go, because it will create a jail around you, and it'll impact you physically, financially, spiritually, emotionally. And it will be passed down to generations as well. Yes. That's a spirit and an energy that you just do not, it costs you more to keep it than to let it go. So talk to us about the power of forgiveness. Like, what are some of the, I know you have a program for 4 months to forgiveness. And so what are some of the key things like that we can kind of understand? If you could educate us on, what are those steps that you take to take your power back? You know, the importance of it, and what does it even look like?
Well, one of the first steps, believe it or not, in the process of forgiveness is to forgive yourself. I mean, truthfully, we talk about other people all the time, but the bottom line is we've done things that we would rather not talk about. We don't want people to know about. We've said things about ourselves. We've put ourselves in situations, in some cases, that didn't benefit us, didn't glorify us. We've done things to ourselves too. And so we have to forgive ourselves first. And in my process, that's the first step. We actually are talking about how you need to go through the process of forgiving yourself before you move yourself out and begin the process of forgiving other people. And so what I have is a forgiveness circle. I talk about a forgiveness circle because those are the people that you really want to address, and you want to make sure that you are clear and get yourself to the point where you have no triggers from them. And when I talk about triggers, what I mean is that if anyone has the ability to cause you to snap or to do some things in retaliation to something that they've done, they are controlling you. They're triggering you in something else. And so those are the things that we talk about. What are those triggers? What do they look like? And we talk about how you go through the process of actually diminishing those triggers. Because the end result is that at the end of it, you're no longer triggered. So you could see the same person, you could have the same experience with an organization, and it's as if the thing never happened for you. you don't have a reaction.
Right. So what about the thing when they say like you can forgive but don't forget? So is it like, what's the distinction there? Because, so yes, it's a new situation, you've forgiven, but like, are you forgetting also? Like, what does that look like? Just for clarification.
Well, I don't think you have to forget, but I also think that there's a way that you can hold it without it being within you, so that
Yes.
you can always bring it back. I talk about the fact that you can always hold on, you can always bring it back if you need to raise the issue, but you don't have to hold it inside,
Yes.
because holding it inside, that's actually causing you the issue.
The damage. Okay. Got it.
That's where the
Got it.
damage comes in.
Got it, got it, got it. And so, you know what? I love this because I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of phenomenal, awesome people. I meet them regularly, you meet them regularly. And it's like we have so much potential. And sometimes these things without going into the forgiveness mode, we actually stop ourselves from living our best life. We stop ourselves from accomplishing the goals that we dream about, that we yearn for, because the unforgiveness is like baggage. It's like you were saying, the rocks in your clothes or shirt or whatever. And I really feel like it's something that we don't talk enough about, because I love the fact that you're saying, you start with forgiving yourself, because I think that there's always an opportunity for us to beat up on ourselves about things, the regrets of the world. But I think, to your point, if you're going to forget, if you can't forgive others if you don't know how to forgive yourself, it's kind of like you can't love anyone if you don't know how to love yourself. So these are some of the key things that I feel like I'm so thankful that we are able to be in this conversation.
Right.
Is there anything that you'd like to share with the folks that are listening today, as far as golden nuggets that will support them in their journey?
Yeah, one thing I'll say is all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. So no matter who else you forgive, it's like you're forgiving yourself each time you do it. The other thing is, when you're talking about forgiveness, it doesn't mean that you're giving someone a pass. And I
Mm,
think that most people assume that if I forgive them, it means I let them off the hook for what they may have done to me. And the truth is, you're not giving them a pass. And I always say, if someone has to be held accountable, like from a legal perspective, do what you have to do. But you don't want to have to feel like you have some anger or some animosity or some other kinds of issues with that person. Do what you have to do to free yourself. Because at the end of the day, forgiveness brings you freedom, it brings you peace. You have harmony in your life. You open yourself up to possibilities, and you actually have the opportunity to bring more abundance to you, because there's nothing blocking you from receiving the blessings that are there for you. They're already there. But typically, what happens is we can't see it because we're blinded by the limitations through those hurts and wounds and things that we haven't forgiven.
right. I really love this. Yeah, I really love this because I have seen the power of forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen it in my life. I've seen it in those that I really care about. And
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that it totally, to your point, is very freeing. It
Yeah.
is like, if you've been wronged and it was justifiably, you should be mad about it. I think that when you kind of harbor those things, the opposition wins.
Yeah.
When you harbor those things, it will cloud your judgment. It will slow you down. And what I want for everyone is that we are able to be as free as possible. And that some of these things that are in our control, that we lean into what allows us to be untethered, so that we can really fly and accomplish what we're really wanting to do in life. So Dewani said, I love what she said about forgiving yourself. Isn't it amazing? Good stuff. As Oren said that. Golden nugget, someone said that too. So um, it's just so important, y'all. Like, this forgiveness thing is no joke. And it is so easy to be wronged and harmed and victimized in a lot of ways. It's easy because those opportunities are always out there. But what brings back your power is, to your point, the battle's already won. This isn't your fight.
Right. Right.
It's
Exactly.
not your fight. The fight is for someone else or some other time. If you have a discrepancy legally or whatever, get that attorney involved so you can live your life. Don't go into the dirt and the muck of the muck. Don't stay into that unforgiveness mode, because it will not serve you. It will not serve your next generation. It will not serve your profitability opportunities. It impacts so many things.
So
You
many.
know,
Yeah.
And I love it, Tonya, because when we talk about it, we can be aware of it. You mentioned some things, and I hope that if y'all are listening to the replay or you're just joining, go back to the very beginning, because you're talking about how it shows up in the triggers.
Right, right. And you know, the thing about forgiveness, and I'll say this, if you really want to go further in your life, faster, you really want to release those things that are holding you back. And you can only do it really by forgiving other people, forgiving those things, because and I get excited about it because I know what a difference it made in my life. And I didn't even realize I was holding on to things. I didn't realize how much I was limiting myself because I was living in a state of unforgiveness and I didn't understand the significance of it. But once I started, I was like, wow, because the people that I was bothered by before, nothing. I have no issues with them. You know, I could see them, I could talk to them. There was someone that I hadn't, you know, just hadn't seen in years, but I had forgiven them. When I saw them, I hugged them. I was like, hey, how's it going? You know, because it was just that relief. I had nothing. There was nothing, no animosity, no anything. And it really makes a difference because then you allow yourself to thrive.
Yeah.
That's when you can allow yourself to thrive. Because to me, when you heal, because forgiveness is like healing, it's healing yourself. And you go from, when I talk about reclaiming your power, if this is your baseline, when you're not in forgiveness, when you haven't forgiven, you're like below the baseline. Forgiveness allows you to get back to the baseline. And once you get there, then you can thrive. And that's what you're really looking for, thriving and even flourishing beyond that.
Well, Tonya, I think that's really awesome. And unfortunately, I'm sorry for your loss as far as your little child. And I definitely can understand how, you know, having such a loss, a trauma, tragedy, everything, all the above, can lead and just feel like people, you know, to expect your tribe to support you and for you to feel so isolated and alone. I could definitely say you had the ticket to just stay in the unforgiveness realm. Like that's it. But you didn't. You chose differently for yourself. You
Right.
chose powerfully for yourself because of your determination to live and to live free.
Right. And you know, one thing you're talking about my daughter, I have had to say that that was her purpose for me. As aside from just being here with me for me, that it her life is what actually started me on the journey of really moving in this direction of talking about forgiveness. Now, I used to facilitate workshops for women prior to that, but forgiveness wasn't really on my radar because that's not what I talked about. But it wasn't until this happened that I lost my daughter, the way that I lost her, that I was kind of moved into a different direction and set on a different path, really with the intention of helping other people overcome these kinds of situations, the trauma, the drama, and the tragedy, my TDT,
Yes.
and to get them to the place so that they know that there you can surmount this, you can overcome this particular issue, any of these issues, and position yourself so that you can really reclaim your power and thrive.
Right. Well, I love it. You know, this is the thing. It's all about reclaiming your power and thriving. That is the power of forgiveness. It will support you. It will support your business. It will support your family, and it will be the gift that keeps on giving. Because when you have that untethered approach to life, regardless of the circumstance, no one can stop you and bring you down.
Right.
It's that powerful. So, so Tonya, I just want to say thank you. Where can people find out more about you and you know what you have going on these days?
You can always find me. My website is courageouslyalive.com. You can find me on Facebook, Tonya Brewington, or you can join the page, courageouslyalive.com. And you can also find me on Twitter at Tonya Brewington. I think it's I Am Courageously Alive on Twitter.
Oh, okay, cool. I am Crazy Alive on Twitter.
Yes.
Well, I love it. I want to thank you so much. And for those of you who are in my group, my Monetize Your Soul Purpose group, I want to just welcome you to the conversation. I want to celebrate Tonya. Also, just one thing for sure. If you're in the group and you have not had a connect call with me, so I can personally welcome you, get to know you, see what you're up to, I want you to book a call. I am here to serve you. And as you can see, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant folks like Tonya Brewington, she's here to serve you as well. She's here to really take a stand for your success, to untether yourself from all of the trauma, drama, and tragedy.
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting it now. I'm getting it now. So I want to hear from y'all. I want to hear, what did you think? Did this serve you today? I just am thankful, Tonya, for you to take time out of your busy schedule to be with us. I just want to say thank you for giving us so generously of your time. And y'all, just get rid of these triggers. Get rid of the need to be in an unforgiving mode. If it worked, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Exactly.
But it doesn't work. It does not work. And there's so many more heights to go, so many more goals to achieve and dreams to accomplish than to be caught up in this unforgiveness mode. The human experience will always give us an opportunity to not forgive something or some situation or someone. And we just want more for you. We don't want you to get stuck, by no means, on any of that. We want you to keep on going straight away to get everything that life has to offer. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Tonya. I appreciate you so much
for inviting me.
Yes, take care and bye for now.
Bye-bye, everyone.